What is up, my ninjas? I am Strydent, and I am back with another video. This time it is our end of the year little meetup, goof off, you know, talking about stuff and things video. As you can see, I've got one shot. That's Clarion Prime, Agent O. That's Steel Wolf, and myself. You see right there, Weaponsmith. We're all chilling and just goofing off, talking about stuff, and it was a pretty good conversation. Usually, I don't introduce these things like this, but it was like a long, little talk, and I, like in the middle of it, I was like, man, I should be recording some of this stuff because this is pretty cool. So we had a bunch of cool topics we talked about. We talked about video games. We talked about music. We talked about you know, the toy industry, but the most interesting portion was the early portion where we talked the most about, you know, kind of the everything from the YouTube issues to, you know, some of the stuff going on with some of the toy lines and video games. And I wanted to share that with you guys and, you know, see what you think, and just, you know, let you guys get one of my longest videos. You know, this was one of the longest things I've done. It was actually almost 3 hours, and I was like, you know what, let me cut this down a little bit so that it's not so long that people get bored, you know what I'm saying? But this was our you know, kind of our end of the year little thing. We did this around Christmas time, I want to say, and I think the day before or the day before Christmas Eve. And it is fun. I love getting together with my ninjas and just chatting away, you know. Sometime this year, I hope to be able to do kind of a podcast type deal with myself, Agent O, Prime, Ryasuke, Black Punch. Why do I always say that? Black Punch. I sound like an old guy or something. The Burning Punch X. I think because there's someone else on DeviantArt with the name Black Punch, and I'm always mixing them up. But you know, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to do more. I'll be able to do more vids with people like ODC Datsme, because we're really hardcore into, you know, action figures. And my homeboy 5000 Watts. He's also the creator of Hot Shot. That's another local comic book out here. I shouldn't say local because it's been sold other places, but he's a local artist that I went to school with and one of my good homies. But yeah, I want to do videos with a lot of guests, you know, so we can talk about stuff and we can, you know, just geek out the way that we do, but, you know, kind of branch out and geek out some more. But anyway, without any further ado, here's the talking and the stuffs and the things that we were talking about, all right? So, yeah. So, what do you think? Did you see all the craziness that's going on YouTube?
No, what's been happening?
Oh my God!
I heard something. No, because I don't know if we're thinking about the same thing. I heard like Nintendo. Was it Nintendo? Or somebody came like and clamped down on the whole thing with like videos, videos featuring like video game content.
It's
kind of, but it's
everybody.
It's everybody and everything now.
Yeah,
Wow.
They like put the ridiculous smackdown on like you using content that's copywritten in any way. So like if, say, like for instance, Angry Joe was the first person to like really kind of lash out, or one of the first, I'll say. And he was like, I think like half of his videos got
Yeah, he said over 60 of his videos were flagged.
They got flagged and blocked. And so they were monetized videos.
No, they weren't blocked, but you can still watch the videos, but he makes no money off those videos.
They were monetized videos, and pretty much someone else jumped in and flagged the video and took the money.
What?
Yeah, so the money he was generating from ads on his videos were getting flagged in many cases by the same, someone claiming to be the same company in the video that he might have been interviewing or something. And so when he talked to them, they're like, yeah, we didn't do that. That's someone else claiming to be us. And then you find out YouTube has this system. It's like a bot of some sort that just sorts through videos, and anything that's copywritten, they flag it and they put it up in the name of the person or the company that owns that material. So even if you have a copyright, even if it's under fair use, whatever, even if they're right there, they're still going to give that that money, that revenue, they're still going to cut you off and give it to the people who own it.
That is so horrible.
That's like mafia logic right there. Like, even if you asked for it, they don't care. They just come in and they're just going to tell you, we're managing this shit right now. That's fucking internet racketeering.
And the fact that it's like, this isn't even at the behest of the actual copyright holders or any specific interest related to the video. It's like, no, there's a copyright here.
Exactly.
So therefore you can't have this.
Exactly. So I've got a couple videos too where I'm reviewing a figure. The figure is based on a character or a character in a movie. So I used the theme of the movie in my video.
How dare you?
And they blocked it. I know, right? Because no one else would know. And it's funny because I refused to be a monetized site. Because, you know, if Google tells me, oh, we're going to pay you to do this shit, now they're going to tell me what I can and can't say. Because there is a list. I started reading through it, and that's what made me not do it. And the process is really long, and I'm just like, I don't want to go through all this shit. So they gave me the ability, they wanted to make me a partner, but I was just like, fuck it, I don't really want to go through all that shit. So I don't care, list me as a partner, but I'm not doing anything different, and you don't have to pay me for anything. So I have videos that have ads. I don't know who's getting that money. It's not me. And like the videos where they flagged something, like that Iron Man, one of them is the Iron Man 3 War Machine or Iron Patriot and the Mark 42. They flagged that one. Then they slid in there, and if you watch it, because you can watch it online, you can't watch it on phones. You'll see Iron Man advertisements all over the place and shit.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, that's really funny. That they're just like, hey, we're going to take your advantage 100%.
Yeah, because having a review for a figure based on a character in a movie isn't already enough of an advertisement for the figure or the character or the movie.
Exactly.
So man.
That's the kind of genius that we're dealing with. And it's funny because like different people have spoken to the supposed rights holders. I mean, because there's people getting flagged for shit that they actually paid for.
Whoa.
Or if you're like reviewing a game and so the music is playing in your video, then that game
the music from the game is playing during the game.
During the game video, they're gonna take your shit and say, you're infringing on their copyright, so they're flagging the video, and then they get all the money you might generate. So I don't know. For me personally, it doesn't bother me as much because I'm not trying to make money off this stuff, but it does bother me that this is even how they're going to do stuff because
it's against the law anyway.
Yeah, like you said, fair use. It's like there's already laws in place that allow for this practice to happen, and now all of a sudden, now you must have all the money.
Of course, it's all about the money.
Then fine. Then you exit the lexicon then. No, honestly, because if I can't talk about your product if I can't talk about your product without having to give you a piece, I'm not going to talk about your product then. And then nobody's talking about your product.
The problem is that in our wonderful world, that shit won't work. Because too many people are already slaves to the shit that's already going. They're part of the machine the way that it always has been, so they don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's why I think that even though you have enough people worked up that they could potentially all leave YouTube and start up somewhere else, you won't see it happen. Because this isn't the first time YouTube's pissed off like their entire community, and the first time they changed the layout, people were mad, and there were people putting out videos trying to petition to get everyone to just leave YouTube and go to another site that basically does the same thing they do, and nobody. I mean, people seemed like they were down for it, but then when it came down to it, nobody stepped up and nobody left. So, I think that's one of the things they need. Yeah, they're all shitty. there needs to be another site or something like that. You know, there needs to be another site like YouTube that's just as popular, so that there can be some kind of competition, so that they can't pull these kinds of stunts.
I'm moving to VO, because VO went through this shit a couple years back and they won, and they ruled in favor of the whole, you know, fair use and all that shit, because it's a law, you know.
But no, because you can't, because when corporations don't make all the money, then they're upset. You can't have them upset.
Yes, we can. That hopefully this time a few more people will actually jump off of the YouTube bandwagon and be like, fuck it. Because first, they screwed up by changing our layout so many times. Then with the Google Plus bullshit. Then, like, the comments section got fucked up because they're trying to force you to answer your comments in Google Plus, not on YouTube. Then there's the whole thing about you having an extra account because you have a YouTube account and you may have a Gmail account. So they made your YouTube account a separate Google Plus account. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so say if
Wow.
if somebody say either they hack your email or they figure out what your password is, now they have access to your YouTube and your email account and your Google Plus account, because you have to use it all. You have to use the one password to log into all of those.
That's why I don't like having everything linked like that. Even freaking Microsoft is doing it to where, like, they're trying to link your Xbox Live account with your Hotmail, with your whatever they're calling now, Hotmail or
Outlook or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't want all of that shit linked. Why aren't you connected to your phone number? Why don't you stop asking me?
Yeah.
You know, leave me alone.
It's like there's always like a skip button, but there's never like a don't ask me again button.
That's what they need to do for real. It's too much. I don't have the patience for all this stuff. And when I got on YouTube, shit was fairly simple and straightforward, and the whole point was to take advantage of the fact that this is a forum to allow you to speak, say what you got to say without any crazy, you know, strings and shit to go through. And now all of a sudden it's becoming more and more complicated. And, like, you know, off the rip, I'm not making any money. You know what I mean? Shit, I don't think any of us are we on YouTube?
I'm not. I mean, I may have gotten an email to become a partner, but if I did, I didn't even open that shit.
Yeah, it was like, I got that email because I had that Blade video I did way back when about the Blade anime. It hit like 1,000 views in, like, I don't know, it was maybe a day or a couple hours, because so many people kept on arguing with me. And then when it hit like 4 or 5, I think it hit 3,000 or 4,000, I can't remember, but it hit a higher thousands, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you want to be a partner? Because they have to find a way to get some of that money. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know. But I'm not trying to be neutered. If I'm speaking on something, I want to speak on it and get my point across, and then just let people bitch and moan or agree or whatever from there.
Because that's just a pattern, man, of like most things that start off like, you know, whatever, grassroots or mom and pop or friggin' in the garage. Or whatever we have in this country, like, because this is how YouTube started. Just a couple of guys got together and put up a video site. Now you got Google involved. Now you got corporations involved. Now suddenly there's all these strings that started to appear that weren't there before, and that's just a pattern.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is that no matter what happens, if there was a mass exodus of YouTube users, wherever they went, that would just happen with the next site too. Like, if crack all of a sudden picked up a bunch of the people that, like, they didn't have, like that YouTube had, then crack would just be the next one to, like, fall under the wing of some corporation, Yahoo or whatever.
It's true.
It's like, just because somebody out there is going to want to follow that money.
That's true.
It's like, there's an uptick in, like you said, people using like Veo or something like that. It's like, then they'd have to go through that shit again.
Yeah.
I would still like to see it. I'd be a part of that, whatever, leapfrog, or, like, you know, try to stay one step ahead.
Yeah, I will.
But other than that, that's the alternative. It's like you sit there and you're friggin' like forced to become a partner.
Yeah. Well, in this case, the cool thing is that you weren't forced. At least I don't think you were forced. I mean, I know I saw changes on my account, but I didn't really, like, sign up for anything new. So I don't think it's like you get to a certain point and then they're just like, ha, partner, we're taking half your shit, you know? I think there's a process you have to go through, and I didn't bother going through.
It's called marriage.
Yeah, I'm already in that process.
And I thought it was only take half your stuff if it goes bad.
Exactly.
Nah.
Well, the stuff that I do have, I don't think she wants. Like, if things were to go bad, she doesn't want all these superheroes and comics and shit. But nah, and at least that situation is mutual. So
Yeah.
you know, it wouldn't be going in that direction. But I don't know. I do know though that like I'm gonna starting today. I'm putting shit up on Veo, and I might continue to put stuff on YouTube. I might, but I might not. But I am gonna put this video on YouTube so that people know.
Well, you could. I'm sure you could do the videos that are gonna have stuff that would get flagged. You could upload
put
on
Veo.
Vivo, and then you could, you know, maybe touch base with people here still that are still on YouTube with other videos that aren't content heavy.
That's true.
You can't post a video on YouTube that bashes YouTube. No. The great computer will not tolerate that.
I know, right? The great computer. It is done. Yeah, nah, fuck that shit, man. I just, I don't know, because hearing how it affects people who, like, this is their job, you know, I thought about it at one point, like, it'd be cool to actually be able to make money on YouTube, but seeing that this is how it all works, this is how it's going to go down, it's like, the people don't, and this is usually how it is, the people don't matter, even though they make the site what it is. It is called YouTube, not them tube or my tube, like Google's tube, you know what I mean? Like it's our tube essentially, and we are being shat on just for the sake of being shat on, and you know, really so they can make money.
Well, plus I think it's also, I don't think enough of the YouTubers that are partners and that are monetizing their videos knew enough of what exactly they were getting into.
Yeah.
Because Angry Joe's video was like off the mark, you know, as far as like he was pointing all his blame on YouTube, and
no, he found out that in the second one, he finds out that it was other
Yeah, it was other, but he doesn't. It was after what's his name put up that video.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because dude mentions, because he mentioned that it wasn't until he put that video up that he decided to respond and explain the whole thing about MCN companies and like Machinima and all that buy up, that put people under, they get those people under contract. That's why when you go to other people's like Let's Play videos and you see the Machinima logo before it, because they're underneath them, so supposedly their content's supposed to be protected. You know, so that when they do put up, you know, game footage or copyrighted material, they won't get flagged. But
because it's Machinima putting it up, essentially.
Yeah, it's under the umbrella of Machinima, and there's other companies that are like that do that. So they lock them into these contracts, and I guess they were promised certain things that they didn't come through. They didn't come through with.
Big
and
surprise.
yeah,
Big fucking
because that's what this one guy, his name was Wrecker. He was explaining all this, and he goes into like pretty decent detail, even though he says he knows more, but he doesn't want to reveal too much.
Because they'll kill him.
I know, or yeah, basically they'll probably terminate his contract.
Stomach.
Yeah,
Pull out your goddamn spine.
But yeah, he reveals all that stuff, and it's really interesting, and it really shows just how little people knew about what it is they were signing up for. You know, I think everybody got clouded by the dollar sign.
Yeah, I know, right? It's the
But
money.
they didn't read the fine print or anything, or didn't really read into how this works, how it all works, or to stay up on it.
It's just like spending's the money.
That's the fucked up part, though. I remember when YouTube, or Google sent me that message. There was another guy on here. I can't remember his name.
Mr. Chai City.
Yeah.
He was out in the cornfield.
Yeah.
And he was reading.
Yeah, you do remember
reading
it.
the printouts that they sent him.
Yeah.
Because it was all these rules, like make sure you tell people to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
And you know, and ask them to leave, ask a question and ask them to leave their answer, you know, to the question.
Make your video had to be open-ended.
Yeah.
So that you're not really giving a perspective on anything. You're just you're opening up a conversation so that the comments could be full with shit and there could be activity on your page.
And
but
it
it's
makes
like
people feel like they're a part of something when they're really not.
Yeah.
Like in this verbatim, that's what they were telling you.
and yeah, you remembered that. I forgot.
Because that shit blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have thought of to like tell people to do all that kind of shit. I'd have been just like, hey, put up content that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's going to keep people wanting to come back.
People will talk anyway because that's what happens. That's what we do. That's what I've been trying to do here, and shit, we got a decent little community of people. I mean, it's not like 1 billion subscribers because what we like is kind of, I mean, even though it's niche, but even though it fits into that big umbrella of like superhero movies and what geek culture, quote unquote, there's still very specific, which is why I hate that whole, you know, the mainstream geek movement. That shit just pisses me off. But
mainstream just means money. Remember that?
Yeah, I know, right? It does.
It's not
very well
like
does.
the only thing global acceptance or all that. No, it just means there's money to be made. It's funny. There's even a parallel for that in the sports community.
Yeah.
Remember, like 5-10 years ago, when like fantasy sports were like this pariah.
Now it's a big thing.
Exactly, and all of a sudden they realize, wait, there's money we can make from this. Oh, hey, fantasy owners, you may want to know that such and such. You know, like, just because ESPN's got a friggin' like, you know, fantasy everything like league, so that you have to pay to enter.
Yep.
Guess what? Now suddenly fantasy sports are the coolest.
It's the coolest. You love it. It's fucked up, but it's so true, man. And
It's the same type of thing, man. It's like you realize that there's money to be had. So suddenly,
yeah, you got to get in there.
script flips.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I wish more people would realize that, though.
They don't want to. That's the problem. Like, how many times have I made videos where I said, when a company has screwed us, like for instance, Capcom screwing over all their fans, fucking, there's things that, what was it, Mattel and Hasbro screwing over fans. And I'm like, look, you pay for all this shit. Stop buying it. Then they'll know there's a problem. Wait, why is nothing selling? Why did we go from, you know, 90 some odd percentage to like, I don't know, 10% in sales in this region of the world? Like, why? Because they realize that they're not getting the quality that they were promised. You know what I'm saying? And nobody does it. Nobody fucking listens. Everybody just keeps buying. Because number one, a lot of people are creatures of habit. Mm-hmm. And I know mankind, we are as you know, a group of what it was, species or whatever, we're creatures of habit. But if you're aware of certain habits that are positive or negative, you can make the right kind of changes, and, you know, you can change accordingly so that you don't fall into certain traps. But some people just don't give a shit, so they just stay in the trap. I can't do it.
Pain of change can't be greater than the pain of staying the same.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's like, okay, I got all this stuff up on YouTube. I got this channel, all these subscribers now. Now, again, so what are you going to do? Go to, like, VO and start from square one all over again? And just, like, hope that, like, some of the followers and the subscribers and the people who are into your stuff follow you, too?
Yeah.
So, like, there's that fear. I don't know. Fear, is that even a right word? But there's that thought that creeps into your head where it's like, well, and then I'll really have to start all over again. I'm like...
Hey, I don't care. Personally, like I said, I like geeking out with people. But if they're gonna put a noose around my neck and like, or fucking a leash and try to lead me in the direction they want me to go, I'm gonna go somewhere else because I don't play that shit.
Talk to them about this. Like, why don't you just go ahead and make the video?
Exactly. Do it your goddamn self. Yeah, I don't have patience for that kind of shit. So, and the stuff that I'm talking about, I know the stuff we talk about is shit that there's more people somewhere that enjoy it. So if the fans that are here or the subscribers that are already here don't feel like coming and they want to stay, okay, fine, stay. Someone else is going to jump on and talk about the stuff that I want to talk about because that's the only thing I'm doing. I'm just talking about things. I'm not telling people they have to do anything. I mean, shit, how am I going to enforce any of that kind of shit? I'm just throwing a perspective out there, you know? And if honestly, if they feel what I'm saying, they'll move somewhere anyway, or they'll give YouTube less attention because That's not cool. I mean, what they're doing, it affects them just as well as it affects the rest of us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Personally, it just sucks. It puts a damper on my, the way of doing things, but it's not that hard to switch up on, move to another site and just upload shit there. So, hi, Vale. How you doing? It's weird, too, because I had been a member of Vale for 7 years. So I was on there way before I even thought about becoming a YouTuber. So I'm going to have to, well, I am going to revisit that. That's where I was watching Garo all those years ago.
Yeah, now you come back to Vale, you hat in hand.
Take me back, please, baby, please.
I was wrong.
I know, right?
I was wrong.
I love you. I need you. Oh, man. But I don't know. They let you upload longer videos, number one. So these kind of videos where we just go on about whatever amount of subjects we have, I actually can do them and I don't have to chop them down, which is good. You know?
That was the other thing that really upset me about that. I mean, I understand YouTube, didn't want they limited it so people wouldn't post like entire movies. I'm like, fine, I get that. The beginning of
but there's still whole movies on YouTube.
I know it didn't stop.
There's still whole movies on there, but it's like, okay, so yeah, people want to post like original content, yet limited to 10 minutes. I'm like, but you're right. People get around that shit too. I'm like,
well, unless you were, if you had a director's account, like when you make your account, they ask you what kind of account is it. Like, are you a entertainer, are you just doing like skits and blah blah blah, are you a director? And based on what you choose, one limits you to the 15-minute mark, or it was 5, 15, and then an hour, or longer than an hour, because directors, because they're making more content, I guess they're making shit from scratch, or I don't know, they would have more to put in their videos. I guess they assumed they deserve to have, the ability to go over the 15-minute mark indefinitely or whatever. That's how you see those 10-hour videos where the dude dancing with the chicken to the Guile theme song. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That fucked up KFC commercial.
Yes.
But I don't know. Yeah, fuck this whole situation. I'm pretty sure something is gonna happen soon where they're gonna fix what they started. And they'll make things make sense, because I heard one of the companies that flagged one of Joe's videos, Angry Joe's videos, was a false company claiming to be the music company that was making cues to be used for
trailers,
like for trailers and shit. That it's like
it's music's made specifically
to be used in these kind of videos,
stuff.
So someone else, they pretended to be them and then flagged this video so that they could pretty much get that money. So he called the actual people, and then they did their digging and they found out what was going on. And so now it's just it's showing you the layers of how fucked up this whole situation is, because
I was gonna say, so how is YouTube how is YouTube regulating the regulators?
They're not.
No,
and that was something that that Ohm record guy pointed out.
Yeah.
Because he points out that those guys just got fucking greedy, because they already had, like he said, with his videos, he was giving them 40% of whatever revenue was being made off of every one of his videos that was monetized. And so now that they forced YouTube, they basically, those companies forced YouTube into making this bot that is so broad in general that flags, every single thing, because it nets them, in the long run, it nets them more money. And since they have these people all under contract, because they had just recently had all these guys, re-sign up with their contracts, so now they can hold them to it, because they pretty much knew this was coming, because they kind of forced YouTube's hand. So now these people are locked, and they just have to keep losing money until some kind of resolution is made.
Yep.
It's a really screwed up situation that it doesn't even have to be this difficult.
Yep.
Like, those companies, if you think about it, those companies weren't doing anything in the first place. Like, all they were doing is basically vouching for your channel, saying that, you know, they're okay and the content that they put up, it's fine to be used.
Yep.
And you're the one making the videos, and you're the one putting the time and energy and uploading them and getting people to watch them and stuff. All they're doing is saying that, you know, they're basically it's like you said, yeah, it's a protection racket basically.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And you give them a cut for basically doing nothing.
It's fucked up, and I ain't having that shit. Ain't nobody got time for that.
See, YouTube brought us that too.
I know, right?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. God, some of those, man, I was like, holy shit. Like the one about the girl, it was like the chick that was being held hostage for a long time. Yeah, and the guy was like, the dead giveaway was seeing a white woman run into a black man's arms or some shit like that. Yeah. And they made that song, Dead Giveaway. I was like, no.
Yeah, and the song is funny because
it sounds
they structured it like an actual song, just using those words.
Professional, man.
But it's so fucked up.
Dead Giveaway. I was like, man, that's not right.
Yeah, you want to laugh at it, but you think about how messed up the whole thing
I laughed. I mean, she made it out, which is good. So, I mean, in the end, everybody could be like, oh my God, breathe a sigh of relief. It sucks that she went through it. But that fucking, on its own, that shit it's pretty damn funny. Oh man, okay. So, remember, you and I were talking a couple days ago, we were talking about Wonder Woman, about this new Wonder Woman. I've been holding back because I'm like, let me wait and like, let us all fire at the same time. Like... I'm so like,
It's miscast. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's a miscast. They found a pretty face, and I wasn't even surprised when I saw it. When I saw her, like the first thing, like I saw her, and the first thing I looked at was her face because I was like, "Yep, okay, she's heavily attractive."
Yeah, she's pretty.
And then I looked at her arms, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Oh God!"
All I saw was the headshot. And
yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, is that the chick from Fast and Furious? And I'm like, wait, which one? Oh, wait, crap, like Han's girl, dude, she weighs like 110.
Yeah.
If that. I think she weighs like 50 pounds soaking wet.
So now she's gonna like, yeah.
I mean, like, did they not, like, where did they not read the word Amazon? Like, Amazon, no definition of Amazon involves a little girl.
Or did they not look at any of the pictures of Wonder Woman lately?
Yeah. Shit, for a while. I mean, Linda Carter was bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no version of Wonder Woman that should be that tiny and skinny, anorexic looking. And, you know, like a lot of people said, I read a post that was on, I think it was Ain't It Cool News, where they were saying, someone was saying, some other writer was saying that fans are body shaming Gal Gadot. And I'm like, there's a difference, and this is what the guy says also, there's a huge difference between being miscast in a role that demands a certain kind of physicality and body shaming somebody. Body shaming would be like blindly just like, look at her, she sucks, look at her body, blah, blah, blah. And this doesn't have anything to do with her playing Wonder Woman. Saying you were miscast, Gina Carano would have been a better cast because look at her.
Yeah,
that's a completely different...
Has that musculature, has that athletic build, not to mention a true athletic background, which may or may not even be necessary. but you look at, like you said, you look at Gina Carano, and it's like, yeah, that would work a lot better.
Exactly. I didn't know she was Henry Cavill's girl, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that either, so maybe that's why they were like, no. After movies like Gigli, we will never do such a thing again. Never cast a couple.
You cast Ben Affleck as Batman.
Hey, but as long as what's her name, Jennifer Garner, stays far away from any of the DC projects, then that should be good, you know.
Wait, so she's not going to be Catwoman in the next Batman?
She better not be.
Oh,
I don't know. Overall, though, I have to say, like, DC is dropping. Well, Warner Brothers is dropping the ball on how they're handling Man of Steel in general. It's like their whole DC cinematic universe kind of sucks the way it's set up, because you would think they would do kind of like what you said, Prime. You said they should have started off with the Justice League movie and then branched off and did all the other people, because it's not like who doesn't know who Wonder Woman is, or Batman, or Superman, or the Flash. Like, all these fucking characters if they go with the classic lineup, they're all household names.
Yeah, like people in like third world countries know who like Superman is. They know who Batman is. It's like it's like that brand recognition's already there, and plus you literally, again, and I guess in respect to like competition, you don't literally want to do the same exact thing that your biggest competitor did. So don't do the one movie with all of your big characters and then tie them together.
Yeah.
Again, people know Batman, they know Superman, they know Wonder Woman. So just like tying, even if it's just like one or two of the other main leaguers.
Yeah.
Just throw them all in one movie.
Yeah. And it shouldn't
then, like,
be
spin off from there.
It shouldn't be a Superman movie either.
No, it shouldn't be Superman and the Justice League
and his amazing friends.
Yeah, exactly.
They fucked that shit up royally because I mean, like I pointed out before, the Fantastic Four got 2 movies. That shit. The first one was horrible. The second one was horrible. Think about all the Marvel movies they got. Ghost Rider. They didn't hit the mark yet. They were closer with the second one than the first one. Still missed the mark. There was 2 of those movies, and you're trying to tell me Man of Steel was that bad that they needed to put Batman in it? Like,
I think they just got scared, or it sounds like they listened to a focus group of some sort
of 12-year-olds.
Yeah, because it reeks of
studio
of industry.
involvement.
Yeah.
So what do you think the next What do you think the next Superman movie needs to be more successful? Batman.
And all these kids are like, Batman. Yeah, that shit's horrible, man. Like, I mean, it's like such disrespect to the character. Here is the most popular, well, I won't say popular, but most recognizable superhero in the world. The world, not in New York, not in Ohio, not in Japan.
North America.
Yeah, the fucking world. People that don't speak the language know what that symbol means. They know who the character is. There probably is a word for Superman in every language. Even if it's one of those like thrown together, like kind of translates to that word, it exists. Everyone knows who he is, and you got to put Batman, Wonder Woman, and possibly the Flash all up in the same fucking movie in order for it to make money. That's fucking retarded. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Not to mention all the versions of. Think about all the animated versions of Superman that we've seen over the years that didn't really get much advertising, didn't really, they didn't show up like in theaters and shit, but they made money. They made like a decent amount of money. Think of all the animated movies they've done, like Superman and the Elite or versus the Elite. Those movies, those DC Universe animated films made a decent amount of money. All of them do. Otherwise, they would have stopped when they told us they were going to. So it's kind of stupid that they're trying to tell us that there's no way they could have made this stuff without, or there's no way they could have made it the way a different way than the way they're going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need all that. It's too much. It's overkill. I think if they had done, like you said, make a Justice League movie first, put all your money into that, and then see where it goes from there. Because if you think back, Iron Man was always a C-list character. Then they went and they were like, fuck, now we can make movies, but we don't have Spider-Man and we don't have the X-Men, so we have to make the Avengers. So we're going to have to make them cool. Because, like, Iron Man, I remember even when I was a kid, I was in the minority of kids that actually liked Iron Man. And I liked him when he had the ugly Mega Man suit with the shell head.
Yeah.
And those giant boots,
Yeah.
And most kids didn't really dig Iron Man, They dug other characters. They'd be like, oh, I'll just be Magneto and smash you in your suit. So I'm the kid actually trying to play devil's advocate, like, no, well, I'll make a suit that's made of a polymer that's something else, not iron or not metal, And they're like, well, circuitry is made of metal. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I just can't win. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, he was shit. Hawkeye definitely is not a household name. Fucking Captain America, depending on where you live, he's definitely not a household name.
I think Captain America. I mean, he's not as well known as Superman, but
no. But like, think of all the countries that hate America, so they know.
And that was the big fear was presenting that Captain America character to the rest of the world. But I mean,
and it worked.
Yeah,
it ended up working. So that's the whole point that I'm getting at, is that they presented them in a way that made them palatable for like everybody. Now everybody knows who they are. Matter of fact, Alexander went as Iron Man, like
3 or 4 years. I think he was in like 2nd grade or something like that. Right before, it was like a couple years before the first movie came out. Everybody thought he was the Gold Ranger. They didn't know who he was just looking at the costume, even though you can clearly tell he's not a fucking Power Ranger. People told him they thought he was the fucking Gold Ranger. Now, Iron Man is everywhere. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody likes him. You know, Thor, same thing. And these are all characters that were fairly obscure in comparison to their DC counterparts. So now, you know, the
blueprint for, like, you know, for Iron Man's success was already written, because if used in a particular way, Iron Man is just Marvel's Batman.
Exactly.
Period. So it's like, oh great, people love Batman. Well, fuck, people should love Iron Man too.
Exactly. And that's literally where it became. I mean, shit, you see the argument, Iron Man is better than Batman, and you're just like, wow. A couple years ago, nobody was talking about this motherfucker, and all of a sudden, you know, 4 movies later, he's like on the tip of everybody's tongue. It's just weird.
Galaxy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Earth.
I don't know. I really don't get it. I don't get what it is with Warner Brothers and the fear of doing things differently so that they could actually achieve something. You know, they could achieve their success with their eyes closed if they just put all those characters together in one film. Shit, they could probably achieve their success if they just make another Superman movie with Lex and Brainiac or something else and Superman and not all these other characters. But instead, they keep beating around the bush, jumping to different corners of the Superman universe that don't need to be re-explored. And they're making boring shit, you know? And then now they're like, oh, we couldn't come up with anything better. Batman needs to be in the movie. And it's just like, come on. I mean, I get it. If they do, like, a Superman movie and then the last 15 minutes of the film, Batman shows up and then that's the lead-in to the Justice League movie or something, then okay, cool. I get it. Or if they do it where, like, throughout the film you're seeing kind of footage on the news or something about how Superman's, you know, presence kind of inspired everybody else to start coming back out, you know, and doing stuff in public. Maybe that would be cool, but I doubt that's what they're doing. I hope that's what they do with Wonder Woman. So you see her for like 2 seconds. It's not long enough for you to see how skinny she is. And then they move on, you know? That would be awesome, but as it is, I think they're just going to... They're fucking it up, and it's just going to be awful. I mean, I could be wrong, because, you know, Zack Snyder loves these heroes, so I know at least when they physically do stuff, it's going to be cool, you know? But I don't know about the writing that's going to be involved with this, you know, the reasons for things to happen. I'm just not, I don't know. I'm not feeling them.
So you're not thinking that they're going to just add CG muscles on top of Gal Gadot?
God. Oh, God. Oh, man. I hope they don't do some shit like that. I really hope they don't. And you know what's funny, too, is like growing up being a DC fan, more of a DC fan than Marvel, I still enjoy watching Marvel films. Like, I'm not so much of a fan on one side that I can't enjoy the stuff on the other side, you know? And it sucks. I really don't. Honestly, like, if they fuck up, I don't care, because at least we still have Marvel movies to watch, you know what I mean? And they're fun. But it just sucks, you know? And it's weird, too, like, when people saw that Ben Affleck was going to be Batman, and there was that huge, like, the obligatory fan outcry. Yeah. It was kind of like, who gives a shit? He's going to be Batman. You know, that once that... Huh?
That massive groan that, like, the internet did.
Yeah, like, no one should have cared because it's Batman. So, if it's Batman, it's going to be well done on screen. Since Batman and Robin... that you're not allowed to fail with Batman. Like, the studio won't let you fail anymore. If you fuck up, they're gonna come in and they're gonna make him do all badass shit, and it's gonna be awesome to see Batman on screen. Probably even if it's out of character, it'll still be awesome because Batman is their #1 moneymaker. So
plus, if you think about it, I'm pretty sure people were outraged when Christian Bale got cast as Batman.
Yeah, there were some people.
How many people knew who Christian Bale was?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he's got a bigger name now, but even afterward, I mean, at the time he wasn't as big. I mean, you knew him for like American Psycho.
American Psycho and Equilibrium, yeah.
But that was it. But then, like,
or Newsies. I mean, not Newsies. It was Swing Kids. Yeah, Swing Kids.
It was Newsies.
It was?
It was.
Damn,
Newsies.
he was in both. God. Yeah, he was in some cheesy movies, and still they
casted him.
Yeah, shit. There was an outcry when Michael Keaton was Batman. They were like, "No, Beetlejuice can't be Batman," and then he ended up being fucking awesome.
The only thing I could say about like Bale is like, yeah, he's a pretty good actor, but he is not a very good voice actor.
It's what I do.
Man, that's gotta be Nolan the whole way.
Like, you need
that's
to go
all
up there
Nolan.
and like not sound like you for the Batman voice. And, like, dude, for 3 movies he did the same exact thing. So apparently somebody liked it.
Yeah, I think it's Nolan told him.
Yeah,
Nolan's not very. It seems like his imagination only works when it's with his own shit, not other people's stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you see Batman and you see how boring and how like unimaginative that shit was. All 3 movies. Then you watch Inception, fucking The Prestige, freaking what was that one? It's not Insomnia. It was called Memento, I think it was.
I think that was him.
And you see all this imagination going on in these films, and you're just like, shit, dude actually has skills. Then you go back, you watch his Batman stuff, and it's just like, wow, this is really the same guy? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And people, I think it's so overrated. People just are like, ugh, I don't know. That's why I can't wait to see what this new Batman has to be all sci-fi and like fucking martial art in the hell out of people and like, you know what I mean? Like all the unbelievable shit that Batman can pull off, we have to get in this version of Batman. You know, whatever the next couple versions or next 2, whatever, that's what we need. Because that realistic bullshit, when kids' cartoons, shit, Brave and the Bold's Batman could whoop on Christian Bale.
Man, Jason Bourne would beat Batman.
Yeah, I know, right?
Jason Bourne would rape Batman. Because if you think about all the stuff he was doing in those movies, Jason Bourne was basically Batman. Only people knew who he was.
And he didn't have suit and he didn't have gear.
Yeah.
He was makeshift and all that shit.
He would improvise.
And
whatever was around, he would just whoop your ass with it.
Exactly, and he would, because they knew who he was, that made him all the scarier.
And he was still able to like stay off the grid and stay out of sight and not get caught.
And he'd show up and fuck shit up, and people would be like, "Fuck, it's him."
Yeah,
it's true. It's so true. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want any more of that Nolan shit. I think Nolan is the worst choice for the creative director for the DC and cinematic universe, because his pretentious version of reality fucks up everything when it comes to these characters that are supposed to be like the icons that like almost all the other heroes after them, they're somewhat based on or inspired by these guys, and he takes the things that make them who they are and he gets rid of it. And it's, to me, that's not what you need for DC's iconic characters, and that shit sucks. It almost hurts, because like if you think about it, as much as I liked Man of Steel, that was the thing that was missing for Man of Steel. There was at no point in the film was he actually, well, I'll say the very end of the movie, he acted like Superman that we kind of wanted to see, but you didn't get that throughout the movie. I mean, and there's good reason, because it's the first time he's doing some of the things that
he's still figuring shit out.
Yeah, it's him, being a rookie Superman.
Because he doesn't know if you punch someone through a building, it might make the building fall.
What?
Okay, I don't know.
But nah, it just
like he's not a structural engineer. Damn it, he's a superhero.
He I don't know. There's like I said, the things that he's trying to figure out, kind of explain why, or seeing him figure shit out is how you know he's a fledgling Superman, and that one day he's gonna be the badass, like, I won't say badass, but the big blue Boy Scout that he's supposed to grow up to become. Everybody knows that's where it's gonna go. I mean, of course, it's gonna be a little bit darker because
that's what's in now.
Exactly, and that's what's that's the flavor of the month now. But in reality, this reality that they've created, he can't be 100% for humanity, because humanity was ready to be like, dude, take him up in that spaceship and leave us the fuck alone. Like he was saying, humanity can't necessarily be trusted, but he knows what the best thing, what the best course of action is, the right thing to do. But I just wish that they would have I wish they would have picked someone else who had the same kind of I don't mean the same 100% imagination, but similar kind of approach or understanding of the material that Joss Whedon has of the Marvel characters. Because Joss Whedon's written for Marvel. And in his books, you saw the same kind of interaction between characters that you see in the film. If they had picked someone like if Dwayne McDuffie was still alive, that would have been awesome if he was the person. But he's black, so we know that wouldn't have happened.
Put him in charge of a movie with actual people.
I know, right? Because you know, there's that black agenda that all black professionals have whenever you put them in a position, especially in the comic book industry. I hate hearing that shit, and I've read about it and heard it so much that it's just like, ugh. But, you know, someone like him, he would have made it where the characters would have acted like themselves. Like, it would have been a transition from the freaking animated universe into reality, and we'd be like, oh shit, that's exactly how he would have acted in Justice League Unlimited or something. You know what I mean? Like, because he knows those characters. He's written them so many times that he doesn't have to really think too hard about how they would interact with one another.
Yeah, like McDuffie did with Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl, with exactly what you're saying that Marvel's done with, you know, the Avengers, basically. Because most people know Hawkman, but now Hawkgirl's just as popular as Hawkman.
Exactly.
And Jon Stewart, most people think of Jon Stewart as Green. A lot of people, I won't say most, but more people who don't read comics, when you know, and they just watch the cartoon, they think of Jon Stewart as the Green Lantern before like Hal Jordan.
Well, kids growing up in the era,
Kids guys our age, like they're more the Hal Jordan people, and I guess maybe now, because I guess like Hal's been the guy again for the last couple of years or something.
Yeah, because Jeff Johns is all Silver Age everything, so he's either killed or tried to kill or just downgraded all the the new guys back to whatever standby, and then he put his Silver Age versions of all the characters up in the forefront, which to me sucks because there's a lot of Silver Age shit that didn't make sense and it was kind of whack, that it kind of paved the way for some of the better shit that we got in the modern age, and we should still be working with that stuff. So I don't know, but
well, New 52 just sucks.
Yeah, with the exception of a couple small tweaks, and most of the tweaks are visual. You know, everybody's got an updated costume, so finally Marvel looks like something. I mean, DC looks like something. Wow. Because I always hated how, like, you look at Marvel's characters. It's a love-hate thing. I like the fact that Superman, Batman, like the main 7, they don't really change. But then when you look at the rest of the DC universe, I'm like, ugh. Why the fuck why does Captain Cold still wear those fucking Big Trouble in Little China shades? Or like, and I think they still kept that, but they changed the rest of his costume. Or like, why does Mirror Master still have that ugly ass like unitard with the green belt that just holds the 2 guns? Like, give him a costume, you know? Like, you could do more. Or Copperhead still running around in that snake suit, you know what I mean, with the snake head around his face. It's like tail. Yeah, the fake tail. It's like no grown man. I mean, even if you're kind of crazy, you still wouldn't be running around in that. And if you're going to, you need to put shit on it to make it look like this dude is really fucked up, and that's why he's still wearing this shit.
Maybe they'll just adapt the Arkham City one eventually.
I know, right? I'm pretty sure that's what they've already done. And it's funny how it's taken, if you notice with DC, they're taking their cues from a lot of other places, because if you notice, a lot of the Arkham shit is starting to kind of influence the designs that you're seeing in mainstream comics. Like, look at all of Batman's rogues gallery in the New 52. They all seem like they stepped right out of Arkham City. Everybody. Even the Joker, the fucking skin head, the skin face mask on his head and shit. Skin head, I said. My bad. The skin mask. Yeah, that shit's gross, but it's like, yeah, it seems like something that would be in Arkham City. I'm not buying that his name is fucking Joe Kerr.
What?
Fucking failed.
That's his real... Ooh, garbage. I mean, Edward Nygma was kind of cool. That was cool, but no. Yeah, I mean, I remember them trying to hint back in the day that his first name was Joe, but that was about it, and they should have just left it at that. I mean, it was kind of cool not knowing where exactly he came from.
Yeah.
Because it also kind of played into the movies where he's asking, where did I get these scars? How I got these scars? And he'd always change the story because they lifted that that they lifted that aspect of the Joker from the comics,
yeah.
Anyway, so it was always kind of cool not really knowing where he came from.
Yeah,
but yeah, doing that, I didn't even know that until just now. You mentioned it. That's fucking terrible. This is why I don't care for the 52, new 52.
Joker.
It's like people don't like history now. They just want a reason. They want an explanation. I said, regardless of how good it actually is.
Well, it seems like everybody want this. There's a whole new generation of comic book readers, supposedly, that they want their shit to
sales would not dictate that, by the way.
I know, right? But like, oh, there's this mythical generation of comic book. No, because it's true. Exactly what you said was. I was gonna get into it, but you're right. No one. The sales have declined horribly. But there's this whole group of people that read comics now that want their versions of the characters to be better than the version that came before, with no respect to the shit that came before. I mean, you look at it in hip-hop, it's the same problem. Everybody wants to be the man, but they don't want to be aware of who the man was before. They all want to do shit, and like they think they're going to set the trend and set the tone for how things will be done in the future, but you have no fucking clue on how you even got here to this point. And that's the problem we're having now we're having it with a lot of movies, and we're having it with these comic book films. Marvel at least is paying attention to the legacy of their characters. You know what I mean? Even though their costumes are doing all kinds of craziness, they still are paying attention to like tying in important story arcs into the movie, like the movie storylines or the movie history of each of these characters. You know what I mean? Like you look at Captain America, and so far he's had 2 different costumes, and he's about to have his 3rd costume, and the 3rd costume is pretty modern because it's the shit he was wearing when Steve Rogers gave up being Captain America. They just made it into a modern military Captain America uniform. That's actually pretty damn cool that they looked at the changes that happened over the years and said, hey, we want those changes to be part of this version of the character. That makes sense, because if not, then it's almost like nothing really happened with this guy. And you've already seen 2 changes, and one was modern, and now here's an even more modern, you know, almost like a sneaking suit. I like when they do stuff like that. It's evolution. Your character's evolving right there in front of you. The shit that DC is doing, I mean, shit, Batman wore the same costume from The Dark Knight on. And there was no, like, change. There was no nothing. And he had all this shit going on in the costume that didn't do anything. So they could have redone the costume a 3rd time, and it would have made sense, because now he would have shit that he could actually use on the costume. I mean, he didn't get nothing. He got that stupid EMP gun thing that was fucking useless.
My thing with that was, why did everything he used was a gun?
I know.
Like he doesn't like guns, but yet
for a very obvious reason.
Yeah, but yet his grappling gun is an actual gun instead of some kind of grappling type, you know, apparatus. He had that gun that shot bombs, sticky bombs, and then he had the EMP gun that was an actual
fucking rifle
gun. Yeah.
And then all his weapons, all his vehicles had big ass guns on them somewhere. Like the fucking the bat pod was ridiculous.
Yeah,
those 2 big ass machine guns
on him and shit.
Like, he's not supposed to be the guy to use that kind of shit, you know. But apparently, someone in their real world didn't feel like that fit. So I don't know, but that's the shit that I want to see. That kind of shit nixed, and I want to see the character be true to what we know he's supposed to be like, you know. That's kind of what I'm afraid of for this Wonder Woman. Like, she's not going to at all be what we know she needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's going to be pretty, and she's going to be girly, and she's going to have superpowers.
She's going to be a princess.
I know, right?
Doubled a lot.
Me too.
That chick looks like she doesn't engage in.
Well, she can fight in the Fast and Furious film. She fights. She can throw punches. They said she was in the military, in the Israeli military, in reality, in like real life.
Really?
So, yeah. So I'm like, okay, fine. She can fight, but she can't outfight Gina Carano. I'll tell you that. That's why they didn't have the 2 of them fight in the film, because there's no way. She's not at that level. Freaking Michelle Rodriguez could barely outfight. She could barely stand up to Gina Carano. So it was one of those things where I wish they had picked Gina Carano. She would have been perfect. Or they should have picked Lynn Collins. That's the chick that I said way back when we did that one video where we were talking about casting for the Justice League, she would have been perfect. That was the chick from John Carter of Mars. She played Deja Thoris.
Yeah, that would have been a good cast.
Perfect. She can fight. She fucking looks good. She looks exotic enough that you'd be like, wow, she could be freaking, especially when she's tanned. She looks different enough that you could be like, okay, she can pass for a Greek, whatever. It works. But yeah, man, I don't know.
That good, eh?
I'm just that shit bothers me. Here's a question then. I'm gonna jump to something else. What was the first thing? Because I know you collected stuff like figures and stuff before, Prime.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with you because I can't remember where you started. What was your biggest, the thing that you collected the most seriously, and like why did you collect it the most seriously as far as figures go? It's been that long, huh?
No, I'm trying to think. I mean, I had a lot of, like, I had a lot of Joes. I had a lot of Joe vehicles too. But I mean, I still think it's Transformers. I still think that's the ones that I had the most of.
Yeah.
Like I started collecting them, and it, I guess the thing that quote unquote sucked was that you were into both at the same time.
Yeah. So you couldn't get
like,
both.
Exactly. So you had to make a choice. Like every time, it's like, okay, you get one thing. It's like, so I get Jazz, or do I get freaking like whatever Breaker and Roadblock? Like,
Yeah, because for one Transformer, this was back in the day, like G1 stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because like back in the day, you remember Joes cost like $2 a piece, so
Yeah.
you could, for what you would pay for one Transformer, you could get like 3 or 4 Joes.
3 or 4 Joes. So it's like,
Now they're almost the same.
Yeah, which is fucking retarded. It doesn't make any sense. Now you pay, $15-16 for a Joe, just like you would for a Transformer, a small Transformer.
yeah, not even. Well, because they come with more plastic. Interchangeable heads and guns and.
Yeah, right. If only we actually got that shit. I can name on my fingers, I can count on my fingers the amount of Joes that came with interchangeable heads this year. I think there's like 1 or 2, and it's Cobra Commander and fucking Storm Shadow, and that's it.
Awful.
Oh, and the Joe Trooper, because he came out earlier this year.
But yeah, I think that was the biggest one though, because I know I had a lot. I had a lot of Transformers.
Do you still have them? Where are they?
They're somewhere in the area. Like
Somewhere
I had to get
where
rid of
you
them.
don't know where they are.
I didn't trash them. Like,
Uh-huh.
somewhere around. I mean, I had all the Constructicons, all the Stunticons.
They just remade the Stunticons.
Yeah, they were wow. I remember that then. Hey, Christmas is coming.
I know, right?
But yeah, they were. I think they were honestly one of my favorites of the show at all. Like period. Like I just dug them. Like not the fact that they were like evil cars or what, but I just dug them.
Yeah, they all had real problems.
Yeah, they all. Oh my god! Like when I got older, like and I started to learn about like psychology and stuff, like in high school, like oh my god, they were all like so damaged.
Yep, it's true.
Even when you watch the show, you realize there's gonna be something wrong with these guys, and they just want to constantly run into stuff.
Yeah. So when did you stop collecting them, though? Like, did you stop in modern times? Like, when I say modern times, like anything from the movies, even the classics, to like whatever's out now. I think Prime would be the newest shit. So from the Transformers classics to Transformers Prime, were you collecting during that time still?
So G1, G2, I was still collecting.
You're brave. G2.
That was
G2 was where I fell off.
I still liked what's the name. I liked Galvatron's look. I actually liked Cyclonus too.
Yeah.
But I could never figure out who he actually was.
Yeah, what Transformer did he? Wasn't he one of the bugs?
No, Cyclonus was a jet.
They made 2.
No. I mean, didn't he You know, in the movie when you see the
It was one bug. It was one bug and one seek.
Yeah.
One of the Insecticons.
Yeah, one of the Insecticons and one of the Seekers. I'm not sure which one it was. I always imagined it was like probably Thundercracker or something.
Yeah. And why was there so many sweeps? Like there
I
was
never understood that.
There were always, and they all looked the same, but there weren't that many people with Megatron. So it's like, wait, where'd you get an army from?
Yeah.
His armada. The sweeps.
But yeah, I never got it. But it was what? Other than that, I got a couple of the Autobots from there. Never got Rodimus or Hot Rod because
you didn't miss anything with Rodimus.
For obvious reasons, I couldn't support that.
Rodimus was horrible. I mean, Rodimus Prime was horrible. I had him.
Your Rodimus was horrible. Hot Rod was cool.
He was cool because he was that kid. He's the cool kid that we all wanted to be. But fucking Rodimus Prime, fucking Winnebago with flames, shit was horrible.
And the pipes.
And I had that toy. I actually traded my Thundercats, the original Thundercats. I had Panthro, and I traded a friend Panthro for fucking Rodimus Prime. And at the time, I thought, I'm like, this kid's an idiot. Like, because, I have the whole trailer that turned into the gun station, and I got the figure to stand up next to it and shit. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then I got him, and fucking Rodimus was like a giant GoBot. Like, you just pull his arms apart from the rest of the body, and that was the figure. Like, that was it. You'd stand it up, pull the little feet out so he could stand, and then pull his arms out from the sides. You had this stiff-ass, long, tall figure, and then a gun station, and that's it. I'm like, what the fuck? I want my toy back.
Give me back my Panther.
I want Panther back, but then you'd be an Indian giver, and that was one of those things you weren't supposed to be at the time. I know that saying is so fucked up now.
Yeah.
But back then, that's what they called you. And in Jersey, we were all like so horribly politically incorrect, so nobody gave a shit, and you just stayed the Indian giver. So, yeah, I didn't bother to complain, and I always was like, fuck, and then I think something happened, and we ended up trading back anyway. I think he got in trouble, and his parents were like, he had to get back his toy. I'm like, take this shit from me now.
All right, hey.
It worked out.
And I think I'm trying to think the last Transformers that I did get. I have some Headmasters and some Target Masters, and that had to be the end of it.
Yeah,
it was at that point when I was like, I was kind of done because I was barely watching at that point.
Yeah, and the comics weren't even there weren't that many good comics during that period.
No,
I think all the good stuff, most of the good stuff, came either before that or after that. At least what I remember. Because I used to read anything Andrew Wildman drew, and I think at the time Marvel had the license. So I had a shitload of Transformers comics. I think at that period when they had that stupid cube, remember in the TV show where Optimus was talking to, it was like a CG Optimus and this little boy sitting on his shoulder, and he was like retelling you shit with the Cybertronian cube, and it would transform, and then
for the
that was the transition. Yeah, shit was so lame. And I remember when that shit happened, I stopped. It was literally maybe a year after the movie or something. I mean, a year after the switch, the big switch after the movies. It was like in 89 or 90 or something like that, or 91. I can't remember. But, excuse me, I watched that shit for about a year, and then I gave up. I'm like, this is fucking whack. It's so whack. So I was like, purely comics. I was only reading comics. I stopped watching the show. And it used to come on at an obscene hour anyway. It came on at 5 o'clock in the morning or some shit.
Yeah.
I was done. I'm like, fuck this. I can't do it. Can't do it. But what about you, Phil? What was your the thing that made you a collector?
Well, I mean, I always wanted Transformers, but at that time I wasn't old enough to buy them on my own.
Yeah,
and my parents really didn't believe in buying toys and stuff that much. So it wasn't until by the time I was old enough to really start collecting, Ninja Turtles was out.
Yeah.
So I was just collecting Ninja Turtles.
I was gonna say for me it was similar. My parents always got me toys, but yeah.
The only Generation 1 toy I think I had was Ratchet, and I was kind of bummed because
he had no head.
Yeah, he had no head or torso. It was just the front of the car. I was like, man, this sucks.
It was him and Ironhide.
Yeah,
because I had Ironhide.
Yeah.
For me, I think I didn't have. I know with Transformers, I didn't have that many. I never had an Optimus Prime until the fucking Masterpiece version. You know, I had a heart attack when that shit came out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god.
I should have bought that, man. I'm still kicking myself. That was sitting in the comic shop that I was going to at the time, and I'm like, I should just get this. I should just get this, and I never did.
Yeah.
Well, and damn it, like I think, well, 2011 was another anniversary year. I think the anniversary they said like 86.
Yeah.
So I guess 2016, maybe we'll get something.
Yeah, there's the MP10, and then there's another company that just did the IDW version.
Yeah, it actually looks pretty good.
And that looks good. You might get my my Masterpiece Prime as a present so that I can get another Prime. No, I really do. I like, my favorite design of Optimus Prime has been the IDW's redesign.
Yeah, I remember.
And that was
pretty damn slick.
It's pretty slick to me. It's the right amount of bulk, so he looks right. But as far as old Transformers, I never had that many. I think I had more of the. I still had Bumblebee and Cliff Jumper till shit coming to college. I had and I had the ones where the heads were appropriate. You know what I mean? You remember how, like, I think the Bumblebee, there's a version of Bumblebee that has Cliff Jumper's head with the horns and the open face, and there's a version of Cliff Jumper that has the closed face with the like face plate over his mouth plate over his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
It was probably a repaint of Goldbug.
Yeah, I have the version where both of them have the faces from the TV show. I'm trying to think of who else I had. I had God, I can't remember, man. I really didn't have. I had Cyclonus at some point. I know I had Galvatron at some point, and I know I had Rodimus Prime, like I told you. But yeah, I didn't have shit else really. I can't really remember. I was more of a G.I. Joe, He-Man, and Thundercats type dude, and so like I didn't have all that stuff. And then like superheroes, I always had like 1 or 2 superheroes at a time. So yeah, but Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, and Dino Riders.
Yeah, we had a
I had
couple
a few
of
of those. I had the motorized Triceratops.
Damn.
And I had the Quetzalcoatl, the flying.
Yeah.
And then, but that was it, because the rest of them were like kind of too expensive.
Yeah, they're like $50 for the big motorized T-Rex and shit. You saw that Fisher Price like reabsorbed all that shit, because now they make Dino Riders but in the Imaginext.
Wow.
So yeah, it's the exact same. I saw this Brontosaurus, man. I was like, man, I might have to get this for Nico so that I can play with it. But yeah, freaking Ninja Turtles, man. I think that was weird, because I remember my best friend and I growing up. Shit, you remember Jeff? Prime. We used to save our lunch money. Like we'd pool together our lunch money so that we had enough to buy some certain things at lunchtime. And then we would keep the rest so that we could go to Toys R Us like once or twice a month and pick up different Ninja Turtle figures. And for each other's birthdays, we had a list, so we knew what characters were on each other's list. So like when a birthday was coming up or Christmas, we'd make sure that we could go and get a character off that list.
Nice.
Yeah, we were hardcore with that shit. And I was a little bit in between that and the Dark Knight collection at the time. You remember Kenner had the Michael Keaton style Batman figures that had, I think it was like Michael Keaton's head on the Superpowers body. And I still have most of those guys too. That was my shit.
Remember I had Visionaries too.
Oh my god, Visionaries. I wanted Visionaries, I just never had them.
I think I had 3 or 4 of them. I remember watching the show pretty consistently when it was out, and I'm like,
yeah, we did too. It was cool.
I dug the idea.
Yeah, we watched Visionaries and Inhumanoids. Used to watch the shit out of Inhumanoids, man.
I used to want the Wheel Warriors.
Yeah.
Wheel
Warriors! Sawboss!
I remember show and tell this kid had brought in a bunch of those. I was so damn jealous.
Man, I went to
They had
school.
like the gold chrome and shit on
the cars, yeah.
Man, I wanted those so bad.
I went to school with a kid whose dad worked for Hasbro. and he brought Unicron, the fucking old school prototype for Unicron. He brought that shit to show and tell. I was so fucking mad. And then for his birthday, my mom bought the Horicons for this kid. This kid was such an asshole too. And I'm like, you're buying Transformers for a kid whose dad works on Transformers. I'm like, that's not fair. He probably already has these guys, and I want them. And she was like, nah, it's for his birthday. You can't be greedy and take someone else's present. And I'm like, yeah, man, it sucked. I couldn't believe they actually made a prototype of Unicron, because I always wondered, back then I didn't understand all that shit, prototypes and all that craziness. So I'm like, why is it we never got one? I mean, the thing was huge. I mean, yeah, we were in kindergarten, but that thing was huge.
Yeah.
It was pretty damn huge. He didn't even transform it. He just had it in the planet mode. It was still huge. I'm just like, oh, God.
I was going to say, just had it on the pallet he brought it in on.
It was in like a box with all these peanuts and stuff. And when he took it out, I'm just like, wow, Unicron. And like a couple other kids knew exactly who it was. And we were all just like fucking awestruck, like, holy shit.
Well, think about what's the name, man. It's like you've seen Metroplex, and hell, like you've seen Fortress Maximus. God damn it, how big would a Unicron figure have to be?
Yeah, and but at that time, I think he was about the size of one of those two. He might have even have been made up from parts of one of those two. But yeah, because the ball was like a basketball. It was pretty damn big. The shape of the planet. Okay, so you said turtles.
Yeah,
that was your first thing. Who was your first turtle?
God, I don't know. Well, okay, because I didn't actually own it because I found it on the street. But it was like a Michelangelo with no head. And so I had that for a little while. And then I finally was able to like start buying Ninja Turtles. But after that, I don't remember. But yeah, for the longest time, like that was like the Ninja Turtle I had.
Yeah. My first Ninja Turtle was Donatello. And my brother and I he got Raph and I got Donatello when we first moved to New Jersey, that first Christmas. And I was still collecting He-Man stuff, so I got more He-Man stuff than, Ninja Turtle shit. But they had just come out. I had already been reading the comics, so I knew which one at the time was my favorite. And my mom got me she got me Donatello. And that was when they had rubber heads. The very first time they came out, not the second time.
That's why mine was headless. Because they came off, the rubber heads came off easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, the ones I still have now, they were literally, like, the second batch when they had the hard plastic heads. And that was when the show was getting really cheesy. It was that season, the second season, I want to say after all the animation, the good animators quit or something. And they were having all those weird stories, like where... freaking I don't know, Shredder would be whining, he'd be in the Technodrome complaining. Wasn't there a season where they were like stuck in Dimension X, the bad guys were? Shredder.
That was when it was like Saturday morning. It became the Saturday morning cartoon show. It was all like non-violent, and Michelangelo didn't even use his nunchucks anymore. He used the grappling hook.
And they kind of looked like the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that shit.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah,
the animation actually got a little better, but the stories were just so bad.
Yeah.
And then they introduced what's her name? Was it Lotus or something? That one chick that kind of had a thing for Leonardo.
Yeah, Karai. And there was that black dude Carter who could turn into a fucked up alien something or other. He had dreads. Man, that show was horrible. God, Turtles was cool. I actually had the Turtle blimp. I remember my godmother got that for me one Christmas, and I didn't even know that shit existed. There was a lot of things for Ninja Turtles that we came across that we didn't know existed. Like, somebody left Krang's android body out in the street, and so my brother and I are like, what the fuck, what's this? We picked it up, we're like, oh my god, it's Krang's android body, and then we're like, Mom, can we keep it? She's like, first you need to go and ask the parents around knock on people's doors and see if anybody dropped it. So we did that. Nobody claimed it, so it was ours. And I couldn't believe it, because this was the, 12.5-inch figure, so it was way bigger than all the other Turtles figures. And I remember the tiny one. You remember there was, a tiny version of it, like a 5-inch or 6-inch one?
that one. It was like a little bipedal thing.
No, not that one. I mean the one that was of his body. It was like Krang's android body, but it was like the proportions, in proportion to the other Turtle figures. Oh. It was tiny, and it came with a tinier Krang that you could put in his gut. I was like, why did they even bother? Just like give us that big thing, you know? But yeah, the one you're talking about is what came with separate Krang. Yeah. The single carded Krang. There was that. There was the freaking turtle blimp I didn't know existed, and then I ended up getting it for Christmas, and I'm like, what? Really? The movie, I didn't know that the third movie had figures. For some odd reason, I think I had already been kind of dipping out, like not really into it. And then I saw him. I managed to get Leonardo just because it fit with
Samurai
him.
Leonardo. Yeah, I used to have that too.
They had like
one
chrome
figures.
Then he had like the chrome hat. I think his hat was like silver, and he had like the metallic blue armor, and it was kind of a cool figure. He wasn't very posable, but it was a pretty cool looking figure. It didn't look anything like what they look like in the movie.
I had Detective Don and Space
Raphael
and Rapping Michelangelo.
I had the Michelangelo I had instead of that was the one with the skateboard that had the shell pattern. It was like all shell shapes that was actually sculpted into it. And he had like the elbow pads and the helmet and the knee pads and stuff.
I had the ones where you could open the shell and put like weapons and shit in it.
I had one of those or two of those. I can't remember. God, I had a lot of Ninja Turtle figures. The thing that really made me a collector though, because I had all that shit and I played with it, and I can't tell you what happened to most of that stuff. Like, I remember my turtles breaking, and then I just played with them without arms and shit, and you just find a rubber band so you can make them hold their weapons or something. Like, we just played with those things. I wasn't really collecting them. Like, I didn't really get it. But when my mom and my sister found the Total Justice Batman and all of... They found the first wave at, like, Bradley's or something. You remember Bradley's that was over on Morris Ave?
Yeah.
They went there and they were telling me about how they were like fighting people and like elbowing people to get in there so they could get shit that they wanted because they knew that Edmund and I would like it. And when they got them, Edmund didn't really care so much, but I did. Like, I was like, oh shit, because I had never seen superhero figures, because at the time, you know, all superhero figures were kind of sculpted in that cheesy, like, running stance. Like, they're real straight, but their arms are kind of bent in fists at their sides, like Rock'em Sock'em robots. Yeah. And if their legs could bend, that was a plus, but most of the time they were just stiff. Like, 4 points of articulation, that's it. These guys were sculpted in poses, so they looked like super dynamic, and then they had armor that you put on top of the costumes that they already have to make them look, you know, tougher and more awesome. And it was crazy, man. So like those, we had, I think we got the whole first wave, which was Batman, Robin, the Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkman or something, or there was someone else. There's one other character. I can't remember. But I have the whole first two lines, the first two waves. And the first wave, when I saw those things, man, we were just like, what the hell are these? Like, where did these come from, you know? And then it was the figures that we actually put on display. Because that was the first time I actually had a bunch of them that I could put out somewhere where I could look at them and other people could come in and be like, oh, you like the Justice League? You know what I mean? Like, because I had, like, all those stupid Toy Biz Marvel superheroes at the time that were real shitty. You remember those? Made of that cheap-ass plastic. Spider-Man was stuck with his hands open out in front of his face because you had to put the suction cups in his hands so he could stick to the walls or whatever. We had those, and we played with them until everybody's legs, they always broke at the knee. All those Marvel superheroes. But we didn't really, like I said, we didn't really collect them. We didn't take care of them. We made them fight, you know? But yeah, those were the first ones that I actually was like, let me take care of this shit, you know, and actually, you know, keep it so I could put it on display so people could see them and I could look at them and blah, blah, blah. And then I think that's where I started hardcore getting into like my DC and Batman stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking, like, now I remember the first thing I really bought with the intent of collecting.
Uh-huh.
For me, I think it might have been those, well, there was a, when Phantom Menace came out, there was like some, like 8 or 10 inch like figurines that came, and I have like 1 or 2 of those. But I think it was what's the name, the Endless Waltz figures from Gundam Wing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
I had like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because they were just I'm like the designs there. They really did a great job of like amping them up for movie wise.
Exactly.
Like, I was digging all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was about the time I started to like buy with the intent to collect, because it was with the Beast Wars figures, and then I went out and bought one of those that perfect grade Gundam wing, because I was
Did
like,
you ever finish it?
oh yeah, I finished it.
Oh.
But it's funny because the other day I was thinking, I was like, man, I need to like hang this up like so it's like looks like it's flying in my room and shit.
Yeah.
So one day I'm gonna pull it out of the box.
Magneto.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
Yeah. It's crazy though. Like you think back to like the stuff that started you on it, because now we all like, I know with me and Agent O, we collect the hell out of like just random shit now. I mean, not random, but a lot more than what we started with. You know what I mean? I know there was a point where you used to collect wrestling figures, and I know a lot of people collect wrestling figures because you still see them in the stores, and they're hitting every single era, which is crazy. And I always wonder, Mattel can do that, but they can't do DC Universe. Like the DC UC line is dead. Like they said, it's done. And now if we get DC UC figures, it's going to be online, which is crazy because it's like when you think back to it, it's like, why not? If you can make wrestling figures, they've made versions of every character up to now, which makes no sense. Like, how did you? And they make them with different articulation. You know, there's the price point where they have like the really well articulated arms, but then they got the legs that can only go forward and back.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the ones that are like the Elite series where they have like full range of motion. It's like what, 14 or 15 points of articulation, something like that. Mm-hmm. And those guys, you still see them in stores, you still see them online. You see the girls like that, because some characters only come in the Elite line. I'm like, how is it you can do that, but you can't make DC figures? You're trying to tell me the wrestling following is bigger than comics these days? That doesn't even make sense. And you know, wrestling...
It probably still is, because I mean, they still watch... That stuff still airs. It's still on TV. They still have WrestleMania and all that other pay-per-view shit.
But they don't make movies.
I know, but...
Actually, they do, but they're terrible.
Yeah, I mean real movies. They don't really make movies. They make...
Oh, you're waiting for No Holds Barred too?
Yes, actually I am. What is that, 30 years later?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hey, man, they're doing what's the name?
What?
They're doing friggin' what's the name of that movie? Grudge Match.
What the hell's that?
With Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone.
Oh yeah. So it's Rocky versus Raging Bull. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they could just as easily that'd be the setup for what's the name for No Holds Barred 2. 30 years ago.
What's that smell? Doogie. But I just, it's crazy to me because like I was thinking about it. You know, when I was in the aisle looking for DC figures, and I saw just those stupid Batman Unlimited figures where all that's left is Penguin, because nobody fucking wants Penguin. He's a punk. Like the only version of Penguin that's worth having is the Arkham City version, because that guy didn't take shit, and he was pretty much Bricktop from Snatch. And he's voiced by Nolan North, and it's like, holy shit, that was Nolan North, you know, like wow. But as if he doesn't get enough props.
Well, I mean, they should be making him, but a lot of the roles he plays, you can always tell it's him. But they should be making him do those voices
where you can't tell. He
obviously has the skills.
He was Raphael in the TV show, the Ninja Turtles TV show, and I didn't know that.
Wait, which
the newer one, not the brand new one, but the one right before that. But
Shell of the time.
1, 2, 3, 4. What was I saying though? Oh yeah, I was looking at the different wrestling figures, and I'm saying to myself, God, this aisle stays stacked. I mean, like, we could go now, and they got everything. I mean, they had a Bruno Sammartino figure. I haven't even thought about that guy since, because that's from when my dad and I used to watch when I was little. And I'm like, Bruno Sammartino, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy that they're even paying attention to him. But then on the other side, which is comics, you have characters that are classic, that have been around even longer, from a time before those wrestlers.
You know, before wrestling was even a big thing here in the U.S. And they're not even paying attention to those characters. You know, you even had TV shows that came and went that they didn't properly capitalize off of. I mean, Justice League Unlimited came out. We didn't get shit from Justice League Unlimited for DCUC. You just got characters that may or may not have shown up in the show because it's a DC show that has most of the, you know, the Justice League cast or the DC cast or whatever. And it just seems fucked up that that's the way they handled stuff. And then now they turned around and they told everyone that we didn't support it enough, and that's why they couldn't do stuff. You know what I mean? And they had a subscription drive type deal where you pay like, was it like $300 or $400, and you get these figures sent to you quarterly. And they're like, that's the only way that we'll be able to save this line is if you do that.
So that's how, if they were really interested. I mean, I don't put a whole lot of faith in petitions anyway.
Yeah.
But that would have been a thing to do, not necessarily be all end all. Like, all right, fine. So the last couple of things we made didn't hit. What would you like to see? Don't just leave it open either.
Yeah.
Like
give them choices.
Give people a choice. Like, what would you like to see? And then, you know, take that data, come up with some mock-ups, see which people like which mock-ups more. It's like,
exactly.
It needs to be more specific instead of we make stuff and you buy it, because clearly that hasn't been happening over the past few years, has it?
Exactly. I mean, let's not even forget the fact that their distribution was fucking horrible. There have been whole waves of the DCUC line or whatever it was called at the time that were specific to like Walmart. So everyone else would have to, if you don't go to Walmart, you got to wait till you see it on eBay or you got to buy it online. Like at Amazon or something, which is stupid. Who does that? You know, we never dealt with that shit back in the day. When we wanted Ninja Turtle figures, you went to Toys R Us, you went to Bradley's, you went to fucking, I don't know, whatever else was around at the time, and you just buy the figures. You know,
the toy shelf, and they were there.
Exactly. It wasn't some big like this big to do to find the figures, and that's the biggest problem with today's toy lines. Is like you can't just go. I mean, you could always go online. But some people like to hunt down the toys. Like me, I like going to the store and seeing the toy in my hand, like in the package, so I can look at it and see if the paint is good or the eyes cross-eyed or some shit. You know what I mean? Like I want to see it and then decide if I want to buy it right there in front of me. I don't like always buying shit online where I can't really see what I'm getting. You know what I mean? Like,
plus, who wants to wait for it to show up in the mail when you can just go to the store and get it?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
I'll be right back.
Huh?
I'll be right back.
Yep. One of the other things I hate is when you pay that extra money for you know, shipping or whatnot, you know, and it's just like, so the price of the figure just went up by like $5 to $6, you know, maybe $8 because you had to pay for shipping, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I also hate when you're buying a figure online that you should be able to find in the store. That always sucks too, which is why, you know, these days, like as DCUC was dying down, I said, man, shit, I'm just going to pay more attention to DC collectibles. And I think, like, in the last month, I've bought a lot of last couple months, I bought a lot of DC collectibles figures. They just do a better job, number one. And then if I go to the comic book store, I know I'm going to find those figures there. Actually, I've been buying DC collectibles and Marvel Select almost exclusively every time I go to the comic book store.
All right, I'm back.
I just now started getting back into Marvel Legends, but
yeah, you chose a bad time.
Yeah, I did. I sure as hell did, because they're starting to suck. So I'm trying to find older figures to, like, you know, make my Avengers and X-Men teams.
Yeah,
and trying to find some of those guys are kind of hard, and they're running my pockets. They're running in my pockets kind of deep.
Well, so that's because you're also buying those crazy ass Transformers figures.
Yeah, I broke and I started buying third-party Transformer figures because Hasbro. The best figure we got out of Hasbro this year was Springer. And that was it. Out of all the figures they released, that's the one figure that was actually worth buying.
Yeah, and he turns into the Tumbler. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty much what they made him look like in his car form. It looks like a fucking sleeker version of the Tumbler. And it took a while too when I'm looking at it. I'm like, what does this thing look like? And then I saw someone painted Springer all black. And then when he transformed, I'm like, oh my god, that's the freaking Tumbler. I couldn't believe it. So he turned into a helicopter, a badass looking helicopter, and the Tumbler. and that's it. So there was some inspiration there. Besides that, we get nothing. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, man, you'd think like they made an Orion Pax figure. I don't know if you saw my review for that one. Huh?
I did not.
Yeah, it's.
Whew. Yeah, go see if you can find it. And you'll
all the
watch it.
deluxe size figures this year are actually smaller than for the Generations line than the deluxes that came out in the
year
previous
before.
lines before it. They're all like
They're like 5 inches tall.
Yeah.
All of them. All the Orion Pax 5 inches tall. I don't have a single Optimus anything from prior years that's 5 inches tall. Because if he wasn't like part of like the Universe line or something like that, the miniature Transformers, he shouldn't be 5 inches or below. You know what I mean? He needs to be at least 8 inches tall, 6 inches tall, something like that. Well, I'll say 8 starting, because I think the smallest one I have, which is the Prime, he's like 7, maybe 6 or 7 inches tall. So it's got to be within that, starting size. Because Optimus was always a big dude. That's the whole point. He's the big armored father figure.
He's always taller than everyone else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, obviously, except those who are just huge.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that sucks, and I have to put it out there, is that when you look at the fans and how they receive figures that are less than what they should be, everyone says, "Oh, it looks awesome." Like that's all that counts. It just looks good. Yeah, the parts look good because you got professional sculptors making the fucking toy, or you got a 3D printer. But like the size of the figure makes it makes a difference, because scale is important when you have characters that you see on television or in a game or whatever. The scale is important for them to actually fit the role, in your mind, to still fit the role they're supposed to fit, that you saw them fit in the other form of media that you saw them in. And I don't know what the fuck Hasbro is doing, man. G.I. Joe's another line. I'm pretty sure they've got something planned, because next year is like the 50th anniversary of G.I. Joe, the whole franchise, not a real American hero. And I saw they still have figures from the concept case from San Diego Comic-Con the year before last, I think it was, or last year. Because Retaliation came out this year, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was last year then. They had this case, a concept case, where they showed these dope-ass figures that seemed like they were in the Pursuit of Cobra style, and many of them were like updates to 25th anniversary figures. Like there was a Lady J, and she looked awesome. There was a Flint that was wearing like actual, proper. He had the proper harnesses with the freaking shotgun shells on his chest. And he had the black shirt and the camo pants and everything, so he kind of looked like a throwback to what he looked like in the cartoon, just more realistic, They had a Beachhead that was more realistic. They had a freaking updated Gung Ho, who didn't have like his fucking flak jacket open so you could see his chest. And he was like really buff. Like they really retooled his whole, or resculpted his whole upper body so he looked like a bigger Joe, and it wasn't the Rock's body from Retaliation. They had a updated Shipwreck. They had a like BDUs, a T-shirt that said Navy on it, and a hat, like the little Scully type hat. And he just looked more like a crewman as opposed to looking like he's part of the fucking Village People. Like like as much as I love Shipwreck, I always hated the fucking button, his shirt being all open and shit. And I understand he's the ladies' guy.
The sailor hat.
Yeah, he just looked too damn gay. I'm sorry.
Horrible.
Yeah, but all these updates look dope as heck, and then they're like, yeah, none of these are ever coming out because you guys don't support the line. And I'm like, here you guys go with that bullshit. There are people, if you go on any given G.I. Joe site, that will buy like 12 of one figure, and they buy them directly from Hasbro. So if there are like, that's not all of the people, but that's a big majority of the people that are into G.I. Joe, how can you not be selling out? You've got singular people who make up for the lack of individual sales. You know what I mean?
I'll just go on eBay and try to find any of the newest line that just dropped from Retaliation, because you can't find it in the stores.
Exactly.
I got like super lucky because I wasn't even expecting to find anything, and I found a bunch of stuff I was looking for. And ever since then, I haven't been able to find it again. But I can damn sure go on eBay and pay the inflated scalper price.
Exactly.
For the line for the characters that I want.
That's the thing too.
Those are the true fans.
Exactly. I was about to say the scalpers, just the scalpers, the amount of scalpers that are out there. I mean, there's a couple sites on Facebook that you just be like, where the fuck do you guys get all this junk from? The scalpers make up for any lack of fans because they're the ones buying up in like triplicate and quadruplicate and fucking, sextuplicate. They're just buying up shit just so they can resell it at an inflated price. And like they said that DCUC wasn't selling, it's because your scalpers are selling them for more, which means someone's still buying them to begin with. Same thing with your G.I. Joes. Pursuit of Cobra was proof that people wanted those G.I. Joe figures. Those were the updated, more like articulate Joes, you know what I mean, or articulated Joes that had more.
Finding a Moneybags Destro for
exactly
amount of money.
Exactly. I got super lucky with him. Matter of fact, try finding Pursuit of Cobra low light. That figure easily is always like 100 or 80 or $70, and I never saw him. Yeah, loose, and that's not even with his gear.
Damn.
And he can't. He's not even properly articulated enough to properly use all of his gear. I mean, like, he kind of holds his sniper rifle well, but like for the price, if you're gonna pay $100 for a G.I. Joe, that should be bomb-ass G.I. Joe that could do anything you think of, and he can't. I mean, he can't lay prone and aim his sniper rifle because they didn't bother to give him the extra joint in his neck so he could actually look all the way forward when laying on his chest. It's like all these little things that should be specific to the actual figure. But anyway, people want him. Because he was a fan favorite, I guess, the scalpers made him impossible to find. So when you do find him, he's going to be $100. Moneybags Destro's the same way. I think he was short packaged, and I found mine at fucking Walgreens for like $8. I was like, what the fuck? Moneybags Destro, yoink. I wasn't even looking for him. I think I was looking for freaking Lowlight because it was at the time when Lowlight should have been in stores still. But yeah, I ended up finding him, and I'm like, shit. And I had him in my my want list on Amazon. They don't even make Moneybags Destro anymore. A lot of those figures they don't even make anymore. So it's kind of weird, to run across them. But it's the scalpers, though, that make up for the lack of individual sales because they always buy a gang of any figure. I mean, they're buying everything, and then they sell it at ridiculous prices, so they're the only ones that can afford to buy at the rate that they buy, And that goes for like almost every line. That's why I couldn't believe when they had fucking Scott Knightlick, whatever his name is, at Mattel talking about how the support for DCUC was low. I'm like, that makes no sense. And then they always would make characters that nobody wanted. Like, they made a version of Vigilante that was like this weird ski mask wearing, goggles wearing, snake eyes looking figure. And I'm like, I don't remember Vigilante looking like that. And then I looked it up, and he looked like that in like the 80s or something, the 80s or early 90s. Whereas the version of Vigilante that everybody would recognize would be the cowboy that was in Justice League Unlimited. And I've seen
the Sam Fisher ripoff that they tried to pull 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep, in what was that? The Seven Soldiers of whatever.
Yeah.
And they didn't do either of those two. They did the oldest version that most of us were like, who the fuck is this? And it doesn't look cool in comparison to the other characters because the costume itself is outdated. But what they saw was he's wearing a unitard and a ski mask. So it'd be easy to just paint up a blank black body with the lines and the colors that make up that costume and then call it a day. So I don't know. To me, that shit's just ugh. I'm gonna I gotta dip out because I gotta go check on the baby. I'll be back.
I know it's been silent for too long. You gotta go look and see what's going on.
Like, what's happening in there? I don't hear anything. Well, hell, that's the two things that worry you as a parent. Actually, no, that is the one thing. When you hear something and then for a little while you don't hear anything. It's like, what's going on up there?
No, that or when you hear something break.
Exactly. It's like, drop. Silence. It's like, y'all just gave it away. here's a tip: when you drop something, make a whole lot of noise. You might not hear the thing drop.
I know, start yelling or acting like you're playing or something. Like you're pretending. The Zoe HD collection. I'm gonna pick that up along with Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, because I want to play Shadow of the Colossus again, and I never really played Eco.
Well, I played Eco, never beat it. Played Shadow of the Colossus and like beat that. Like I said, that game again was like amazing. So definitely highly recommend that. But again, you're already getting it, so you don't need to hear it from me.
Yeah, it's too bad they never got Last Guardian out on this generation. Now we have to kind of wait and see if they ever put it out on the PS4. But I think I think it's not gonna happen though.
Well, they were trying. I mean, the guy I forget what not at a con or anything, but I guess at some public appearance, whoever was making it is like apologized again for like it being out, not being out yet.
What? Which game?
Last
Guardian.
Oh wow! I forgot all about that game. Damn.
That's what happens when you develop a game forever.
Like, I can't even imagine it being profitable now for as long as it's been in development hell.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
yeah.
I mean, it'll be better than Duke Nukem Forever when it comes out.
Oh yeah, shit. It better be.
It's like, I so love how the initials for that game were DNF. Which to me and a lot of sports fans means did not finish. That game should have stayed that way. But no, that'll definitely be a good pickup too, because I dug Eco and Shadow of the Colossus too. But that's the Last Guardian. I don't know if it comes out. That'd be great. It's taking about as long to make that as it did to make Gran Turismo 6.
As it did to make the PS4.
And what was it? It is like, okay, if we are going to transition into video games real quick, I'm just going to throw this out there. Somebody, I lightly read Games Radar now because I just can't be bothered with them a lot of times. Somebody wrote a story and it's like, oh well, a new generation isn't supposed to like wow you when they first show up.
Yeah,
what? Like, yes, it is. That's the whole point.
Yes, it is. That's the entire point. There's supposed to be things and features and stuff that this new system can bring that the old system does not, that makes me want to buy the new system.
Exactly, and there is nothing.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's not backwards compatible.
Yeah, I figured.
Plus,
I gave up on that dream.
Yeah, plus some of the features that they're talking about you're going to be able to do haven't even been put out yet on either system. Like, you have to wait for them to do firmware updates. So I'm like, okay, why don't you guys just wait until you got all the programming done and all your shit worked, and then put out the system? Like, they rushed it.
Now they had to get out first because reasons. It's like, I love Yahtzee went after the Xbox One. It's like, oh, you can play the game while it's downloading. It's like, at what point can you start playing the game while it's installing? I'm not telling you.
Yeah, he was talking about, what was it, Rise? He was dissing the hell out of Rise.
It's like these games are just like, modern like DLC delivery systems, and I'm like, part of me feared that was what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, see, somebody needs to look at your business model, because if you're not making money doing what it is that you do, then the way you go about business needs to be examined. Mm-hmm. And apparently the only answer they came up with is, okay, we'll just charge them for a game, and we'll just not put a lot of stuff in it, and then make them pay for other stuff. That's a horrible idea.
That's why free-to-play is going to fail. I'm telling you, it's going to fail one day.
But the the populace is too stupid. Think about gamers. They always seem to have like unlimited, typical elitist, hardcore gamers somehow have like endless bank account. They can, I don't know if they just sell drugs all the time or if they're all,
They have their game stations in one area, and then they have their meth lab in the basement.
That's what I was about to say. They got some kind of something to make money forever.
And they always can afford to buy whatever comes out. When I was managing GameStop, there were people always showing up to freaking pre-order or buy anything that was new. It wouldn't even be good. They would just always get it. There were guys that came in and pre-ordered everything for like a year out. And I'm like, dude, like, this is fucking Barbie's horse adventure. Well, blah, blah, blah. You never know.
Can I pre-order a copy of X-Blades? I wish I could say no, but...
I'm like, what? And these guys, like, I could have a conversation with them. There were times where I actually talked them down from buying stuff because I knew it wasn't going to be good. And my boss, of course, was pissed at me for doing that, but we're supposed to be getting, I don't know, I just believe in being honest with people. But I always was still amazed at the fact that they always had the income to support this habit. And I understand, you know, if that's what you want to do, you'll find a way to do it. I get it. But they're just too set in their ways to change. So once they get used to free to play, it'll just be the way it is to them.
And the sad part is that's the industry's defense. Oh, well, those who game on mobile are used to microtransactions, so therefore we'll just start doing them in console games. But there's a big difference between the two. Free to play is just that.
Yeah.
To get the damn game, it doesn't cost you anything, so they charge you for bits and pieces along the way. I have to pay $60 for Rise Son of Rome. I'm not going to pay more to finish the base game.
Yeah,
like,
you should.
If I buy a game, I should at least be able to play through a campaign, single player, whatever co-op type of mode without paying another dime.
Exactly.
That's why I laugh at people when Xbox was talking about when they first debuted their Xbox One, and they're talking about, you know, making it all digital is gonna save us a lot of money. It's gonna save you, the gamer, a lot of money. We're gonna reduce prices on games, and I was like, bull.
No, you're not.
Shit. Games are they're gonna get probably more expensive, and this is their way of doing it. They figured out a method to do it, and people are just buying it hook, line, and sinker.
Yep.
I mean, there was the backlash in the beginning, but the funny thing is that they said, all right, we're gonna alter those parts that people responded poorly to. And of course, some executive went and bitched about, oh, it would have been awesome, guys. You have no idea. Shut up. But they also said that we were going to do it via a patch. So which means they're not going to change the actual programming of the machine, not to delay the launch. Hell no. We got to get out now because reasons. So this thing, and like you said, a lot of the stuff that this thing was supposed to do, that's actually really funny. One thing that the system is supposed to do that nobody liked, will still do it at launch. But a lot of the features that people want, it won't do at launch.
Yep.
What type of sense does that make?
It makes all the sense in the world, Prime. Expand your mind, sir.
And plus there's the fact that, I mean, literally just looking at hardware performance over the last generation, whatever the failure rate was, it was way higher than it should have been for both systems. I mean, shit, I'm on my third PS3 now. I can't talk.
Yeah.
It's like, so now you're just ready to rush out another console because what? This one's going to run so much smoother than the last one? I doubt that.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, both consoles are having issues.
Yep.
Performance issues. Like the blue light of death, and then
Boston's got their own light already, right? Sony's got their own light of death already.
Yeah, and Xbox has the disk drive of death.
What the hell?
Yeah, but the disk drive just stops working.
Yeah,
like I heard about that. Yeah,
that's sad.
What the fuck? I mean,
the percent. They say the percentage is less than 1%, but that's still kind of shitty.
It's like, do you not test these things at all?
Nope. They're just like, ship them all. We're gonna send them out a whole new door. It's just crazy. They got Deadpool running running Microsoft, or the Joker or something. It's just fucked up because, like I said, because it's worked thus far, that's how it's gonna be done.
But
I mean, like, if you were able to survive. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
But like, if you were able to survive with a fail rate of 95%, you can do whatever. If people are still buying your product and you fail 95% of the time, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
But it's funny because Sterling said it like this. He's like, yeah, like people are effectively sheep. They'll just keep buying everything. And he's like, yes, up to a point.
Yeah, until they stop.
And then they just stop. And normally there's no reason for why they stop. They just stop.
Let's hope.
And
that's the question of when is enough going to be enough?
But
when are people going to be tired enough for it to stop and actually incite some kind of change?
As soon as people stop buying Call of Duties, which
is
so in other words, never.
So we've been preaching, and it's just never going to happen.
I'm looking at this thing, and it's like I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, what? Like, what's the plot of this Call of Duty? Because I completely misread the ads and all the build-up stuff, and I'm like, okay, fine, it's a weakened United States against, like, a technologically superior foe. Pure science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's the U.S. against all of South America.
Because all the brown people unite.
It's like, you think all of South America would unite for anything outside of maybe a football tournament?
I know, right?
It's like, no. They don't, none of them hate you that much.
They don't give a shit.
Venezuela hates us, but like half the countries in South America really hate Venezuela. It's like, no, they will not all band together to, like, to come after our freedom.
They need to just go to aliens and use aliens as the threat, because trying to use all these other countries is starting to look stupid.
Because that's the seventh sign, man, right there. When Call of Duty goes to space and Halo comes to Earth, we're all screwed.
But they just did that.
No, Halo hasn't gone to Earth yet.
Aren't they on their way? Isn't that what they showed us in the?
Then the countdown started.
Because wasn't that the trailer that they showed for the next Halo with Master Chief in the cloak and he's walking on like sand dunes and shit?
I saw it, but I didn't know he was on Earth.
I didn't know it was Earth.
Yeah, I could have sworn that was the big thing. The fight comes to Earth, because then he crashes.
I thought they aren't they trying to take back Earth?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, it's coming. Sorry.
It's happening. And you remember years ago they said that Call of Duty, they were going to do a Call of Duty where it was all the world's military versus an invasion. Because that was when they first started talking about how Infinity Ward would do one, Activision would do the next. Infinity Ward, Activision, and then the big one was the two teams working together.
Working together. The best possible product, or the next possible product. I'm not sure what they actually said. I think it was just next.
I would play it if they did the one with aliens.
I liked what's the name. Honestly, I played the first Black Ops, and
I dug it.
The story was kind of batshit, but it was still kind of interesting. It kept me engaged.
Yeah, it was crazy as hell because it kept flying from time period to time period to time period, and the whole thing is just it's you playing flashbacks.
Yeah.
While this dude's being tortured and they're trying to extract information. But I think that was cool because that's not the way that they presented any of the other Call of Duty games.
And that's why it's kind of got me interested in actually playing Black Ops 2. But I can't find that anywhere for cheaper than $50. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be buying that then.
And Black Ops 2 had a crazy plot too, but at least it was modern, like, it's supposed to be like modern to like kind of near future tech. But it still has a story where it's like, kill all the brown people.
Because they're clearly where the danger lies.
Just because you're light skinned doesn't mean you get to say shit like that.
Just because you're light, bright, and 2 shades from white.
Funny thing is, I worked with a kid, and he's actually at one of the at Trinitas Hospital. They have a unit for psychiatric cases that they have, and that's his mentality.
Really?
Again, he's like about my shade. I think it's the same thing. I guess comes from mixed heritage. And he's like, I'm white. I'm like,
the hell you are?
Oh, you are.
That's not how society's gonna see you.
I know, right?
Oh, it's like
Tell that to the Grand Wizard standing right there.
Bet you he'll have something else to say.
Heard of something called the one drop rule? Son?
Yeah.
I know that ain't no tan.
Like, dude, nope, it's like, bet you, like your hair grows out. Does it get long and flowy? No, no, too bad.
Not to go off on a tangent, but there was this this talk show, and there was this guy. He was in the news recently. He was trying to, I forgot where he's from in the U.S., but he was trying to declare his the city he lives in as like a sovereign city just for white people, and so he submitted himself to a DNA test, and it turned out that he's 14% like sub-Saharan African. And so this was all on the talk show, and so there's this other lady just cracking up that was sitting next to this other black lady, and the host is black, and so then the guy says, "Oh, that's just genetic noise." Like he wouldn't even own up to DNA testing, which is like convicted criminals and has freed people,
Exactly.
from
put
getting
people on
convicted.
death row and saved people from death row.
Yeah, this guy was trying to be in denial.
Wait.
Oh, DNA, the jury's still out on that shit.
Yeah.
See, but I'm like, dude, unless you just got here from somewhere, more than likely you are a lot more varied than you think.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, unless your ancestors came from like you said, I mean ancestors as in like parents, like just got here from sub-Saharan Africa or China or Japan or friggin' Sweden. Guess what? You probably got some other stuff in you.
Yeah.
It's like check, like maybe Ancestry.com doesn't have all the answers.
Oh man, Ancestry.com. It's sad too that people actually think that that's where they need to go to figure this shit out.
Oh, good. Somebody already did all the work of tracing my heritage for me. That's great, because I couldn't be bothered to, like, go through old paperwork. Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting and worth sharing.
But he did the only thing he could do. Deny. Like, no, clearly that doesn't... That's just... That's like what is it? What's that word? The margin for error.
Oh, zero margin for error.
That's not what that is.
Wait, what were you guys talking about? I missed it because I moved.
There was this talk show. The host is a black lady, and there was this guy who was in the news recently because he wanted to make the city he lived in just for white people, and so he was lobbying for that.
Oh wow!
And so he submitted on the show. He submitted himself to a DNA test, and the results were he was Caucasian, but he had 14% sub-Saharan African in his DNA, and so he instead of just saying
get it out.
Yeah, instead of just saying okay, fine, he tried to say that, oh no, that's just genetic noise.
What?
It's not. It doesn't mean anything.
Wow.
All right,
What
I'll be right back again. Give me 2 minutes.
Yep. What a douchebag, man. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I know. Genetic noise. Like they broke the genetic code. There is no noise.
Yeah, like what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know. This is what we're dealing with. People that don't know any better, they refuse to learn. So, whatever. They're fucked. This is where we're going unless somebody does something about this shit sooner. Because the smarter everybody gets, the more educated everybody gets, the less apathetic everybody gets, the more we'll be able to change all this shit. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I know.
Soon. Oh my god. Yeah, that's me playing with action figures, so sorry. If only you could see all the fighting that's going on off camera with this Kamen Rider I'm playing around with. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to put under the microscope. I know, going back to the jumping around all crazy, going back to the collecting thing, as of recent, the first thing that like made me really become a hardcore collector was the Soda Street Fighter figures. When I started seeing how they came with all the stuff that actually made them like it represented the character properly and all that shit, I was like, damn, I need to get these. So every time I went to a convention, I'd make like $1,000 in sketches, and like at least half of that shit was going to buying figures. I won't say half, but like a good portion of it, because it'd be like I'd be making money, and then I'd be like, all right, I got $100, I'll be right back. So I get up and I go and I buy some Soda figures. I'd buy like whichever ones were out at the time. So I would do that every single at every con that I'd gone to.
I keep saying I'm gonna finish my figure collection with that line, but I just never do.
They go up and down all the time, so you might be able to finish them with like a couple $100.
At least I want to at least get the. Well, I can't say the main 12 because they stopped right before DJ. But
no, he's part of the main 16 characters. The first 12.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
It was or wait.
No, yeah,
you're right. It's the 8, and then there was 4 more. So yeah. Wait, no.
No, it's 12
it's
and
12
then
and then 4.
Then 4, yeah.
Because the bosses.
Yeah.
The 4 bosses.
I still need to pick up 2 of them too. No, one. No, I need Vega. I just need Vega.
You need to Amazon still has the turtles, the NECA ones. But one lady was asking me, she wanted to know if she got bootlegs or not, because she got them with red. They all were wearing red, but the front shell was hard instead of being soft. You know how on the ones we have you can press it because they have an ab crunch?
Yeah.
This one, they don't have the ab crunch anymore. Huh. So, which it might be better because it's one less thing to break if you plan on playing with them. And what I read on the Foosh is, you've been on that site before? The Foosh is like an action, actionfigurepics.com.
Yeah.
They this is their forum, and they talk about like all kinds of stuff, a lot of customizing and all that shit, and they explain that like the plastics that they used for the bootlegs are better than the plastics that NECA used for the original ones. Because you remember my Michelangelo broke like out of the package, and I was like, what the fuck? Like he literally, I think he fell the day I opened him, and his freaking hip, like the leg connecting to the hip ball joint just popped right the fuck off. I'm like, are you kidding me? So he's got one stiff leg. They said that they actually use, like, NECA doesn't use PVC, not for all their figures. They use some crazy blend. They said these guys
shit. That's what they use. They use shit. Because I've had problems with every single NECA figure I've bought except for those 2 turtles.
Now, I'm sure they try really hard.
It's hammered shit.
You know, right? Deep mixed shit. Nah, they said this ABS is like, ABS plastic is what most figures are made of. ABS.
Almost bullshit.
Like ABS bad. Is like the regular. It's the regular.
Absolute.
That's even better. We'll go with that.
But ABS plastic is like what most most figures are made of. It's like kind of a heavier form of PVC, I guess. It's like what pipes and shit are made of, and that's what the knockoff turtles are made of. So a lot of people are having less issues with the knockoffs than they did with the originals. Also, the knockoff ones come in the variety with the different color headbands.
Oh wow!
So it's like, wow, they upgraded. In a knockoff upgraded on the fucking original, which is crazy because here you have third-party Transformers doing the same thing.
Shit. Yep.
And it's weird, like, how come... Wow, full circle. How come no one's cracking down on the third parties for making figures of existing copyright-written characters? They're directly making money, fucking loads of money, because they charge... like 10 times what the figure costs if Hasbro made it. Granted, they are engineering the figures better, but no one is cracking down on them. But then here at YouTube, you have freaking companies cracking down on us for not really breaking copyrights. You know what I mean? It's like there's more important shit, more, you know, you could actually win some money or get something out of cracking down on those motherfuckers, but instead they're attacking us. We're not even corporations. We don't really make money. You know, not like that.
You shouldn't be making any money.
Apparently. Apparently. It's just it's just fucked up, man. It's so fucked up.